Sandstorm on the Jayun. Very excited to see how this matchup plays out, especially considering all of the favoritism towards Bow as just a good weapon to fight against Greatsword in general, but already opening up in Sandstorm with the first few hits.
Yeah, it's so crucial, and you see how he turns it not into just the first few hits, but the next weapon pickup as well. Blazey having to wait so long for the third one to get that bow, and still taking hit after hit.
Oh, and Sandstorm starting off strong with the side zig, throwing out the pocket sand, stopping his recoveries with a few jabs forward with the sidelight openers, and is that going to be the stock? No, he gets the gravity cancel down light, covers the left and right side of him. Can he get the stock finisher? Greatsword recovery would definitely take off the first stock, and Blazey is struggling to get any damage onto the reigning champion as he takes that first stock with barely a scratch.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to turn the early weapon control into just constant stage control, and that gave him a very healthy lead to work with here. Full stock lead, and he's just pressing it into so much more damage.
Yeah, Blazy, however, finally relieving some of the pressure, getting a down air and a neutral air onto Sandstorm, trying to get any damage in so that he can even up the stocks even a little bit, but Sandstorm going in, doesn't get the right read, gets punished for his troubles, but the sidelights continue to land, and Blazy is struggling to find any purchase with the axe. One downlight hits, and a sidelight nair, no! Too hesitant, doesn't get the nair afterwards, and now his dodge is gone.
Yeah, so that's the main thing. Sandstorm's going to be looking for those dodges. You'll see him open up with those side lights, occasionally the downlight, and just waiting for Blazey to dodge, trying to get an even bigger Greatsword chain for more damage, because each of those individual hits, they don't really do too much. Sometimes only as much as weapon toss, but Blazey, that gravity cancel, the ghostly grasp from underneath, tying up the stocks, now they're sitting 2-2.
Yeah, the down sig in particular there for Azoth, now that I think about it, is so great against a lot of Greatsword openers. If you're going for the dash down light or the dash side light, you're going to find your hurt box lurching. Oh, no.
Oh, no!
He misses the ledge and he falls. And that was Blazy's opportunity to sort of close the gap that was going between Sandstorm and himself during this game number one. And now Sandstorm's one stock away from being in the lead. And oh my goodness, he is just completely destroying Blazy with the Greatsword here on his last stock, almost in the deep yellow.
Yeah, Blazy's chances are certainly dwindling. Oh my gosh! Sandstorm even reading the dodge up and out, jumping from his chain to get more continuation and finishing it out with the signature. Sandstorm, so good.
You know, I have to remember that Sandstorm is the player that made Scythe look like it had 0 to death true combos. When in reality, I love showing some of those matchups from 2018 to friends of mine who aren't as familiar with Brawlhalla, because they're like, oh, wait a second. He's reading them every 2 to 3 seconds. He's getting a hard read of the dodge to continue that string into making it look as good as it did. And that is a similar situation that we just saw in the Greatsword there, which is terrifying. If that recovery hit, Blazey could have lost that stock in under 3 seconds, and we're seeing a quick switch over to the Koji in game number 2.
All right, yeah, because you mentioned that the bow has a pretty good matchup against Greatsword. That's kind of been the consensus. It's what a lot of players have been talking about, just because the Greatsword, you know, it wants to get in on the ground, and Bow has some of the longest ground range in the game with that downlight combo starter. But he doesn't even get the chance to swap over to the bow. He's stuck on the sword. Sandstorm just rolling him with this Greatsword right now.
Yeah, Sandstorm fighting off real strong. Nice weapon throw to pick up on the bow, but he wasn't able to get a nair afterwards. And Blaze is not even going to be put into a position where he can even do the nair anti-air game as the recovery catches him on the way down. Never is able to touch, and that stock is gone in under 40 seconds. Blazy has a sword waiting for him, but he gets hit for it. Nair into sidelight, 2 sidelights. Sandstorm is perfectly content just poking him over and over again, being like, hey, this is free damage. I don't have to go for the read until you dodge. And
yeah, I mean, as long as he's winning out every single interaction, it doesn't matter that each of those sidelights does such little damage if he's just going to get so many of them.
Right, and he is just waiting patiently for the right read to take Blazy's stock off the right or left side of the stage. Gravity cancel. Woo! Doesn't work out. Blazy gets a nice neutral conversion, knowing that his dodge was gone, making that connect, but it wasn't the stock, and Blazy is still struggling to even up these numbers as he gets nared away, and Sandstorm picks up a fresh Greatsword.
Oh man, beats the dodge in with that neutral signature. You know, that's a popular option you'll see from Greatsword, is using that neutral signature, sometimes the side signature if they're out wide, just because you're looking to dodge those extra follow-up hits, so you're dodging as soon as possible. But all the startup on those signatures ends up catching you just as your dodge ends.
Yeah, we're seeing Blaizzy take the brunt of that effect. Falling side air does hit Sandstorm off stage, but he's got to find a sword downlight onto Sandstorm, who's been completely in control over the center stage, and that's how you do it.
Oh.
If you can't get the downlight on the stage, you jump up, you gravity cancel it, pick him up, hit the recovery afterwards to take him off the top. Blaizzy with a little bit of life in him, but he has to put in so much work to even bring this game to even, let alone a win. And Sandstorm going for that empty hop, trying to read Blaizzy, put the pressure on him with his movement, but Blazy's fighting back.
Yeah, those gravity cancels definitely paying off. It's something that you can use to turn a defensive moment into an offensive moment. Because that spot dodge in the air, you're able to perform any of your grounded attacks. You see Blaizzy trying to use it there again, but unfortunately too much damage taken. The weapon got knocked out of his hand, and he's now swapping over to a fresh sword just in time.
Ooh, and he's at a position now where if he's able to catch with a downlight on the platform, a recovery could knock out. He doesn't go for the recovery there because he needs the damage. Didn't get the reset, but another downlight. Down air, no, he doesn't get the recovery afterwards. And Sandstorm hits him with the side air. Blaizzy just barely touches, but he's making it look like he can even up the stocks here. One sword recovery will definitely do it. It will be 1-to-1, and then, I mean, it would take a miracle, but look at that again. Spot dodging this great sword, and this is exactly what you were talking about, TWK. He uses the dodge to avoid the weapon throw, and then cancels the end of the dodge of the downlight, gets him with the recovery off the top, and that's the same knockout he got before. Blaizzy is on his way to reverse 3-stock. I mean, it looks impossible, but...
Oh, jeez. Sandstorm, you know, he broke my ankles on that one. Definitely was expecting the side air, because that's standard sword edge guard, right? But no, he dips low to cover the entire wall with his sword recovery.
Yeah, and a great option for that, too, because even though the recovery hit straight up and he was technically beneath the stage, Blaizzy was so damaged that he was well confident that was going to take him off the top. And now we're seeing the bow completely removed from Blazy's kit. And I like this option. I would argue that the most success in that game, too, came from Blazy's sword. And it looks like he's putting all of his confidence into it with the Finn selection. An epic crossover for Brawlhalla. And he'll have options like that D-Light neutral sig if he wants to try to catch Sandstorm off guard, see if he's not dodging, or just the very powerful high force sword signatures and axe signatures in general.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things, right, is because each legend has 2 designated weapons, he's kind of been playing musical chairs with that same set of 3. The bow, the axe, the sword. He's gone through all the legends now that contain those 3.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point. I didn't even think about the connection with the Azoth, but you're right. He's got that trifecta of weapons that he seems to prefer, and now he's on the 2 that he hasn't combined yet, and he is looking strong, starting off with a damage lead in game number 3 as Blaizzy continues to adapt to his opponent.
Yeah, this has been actually huge. That last game, you know, it did put Sandstorm up to... Yo, Blaizzy, edge guard, let's go!
He waited out every single greatsword tactic, jumping out, baiting out the recovery, waiting for the nair, and then getting the perfect spiking hitbox on the falling axe ground pound, and Blazy's got a lead over the reigning world champion in game number 3. Sandstorm now onto the regular sword, fighting back, and Blaizzy is still strong.
This is what I was going to talk about, how much that game number 2 meant for Blaizzy. Because, you know, he didn't have the one self-destruct going off on the side. He was able to bring it to a last stock situation. So it was that continuous shift of momentum that Blazy's turned into a stock lead here, and he's got Sandstorm into the orange.
Oh, that recovery finally does it, but you're absolutely right. He got into the orange, and there was a point where I was almost in disbelief that Finn didn't get taken off the top by the D-Light recovery, but Blazy's just doing great with the survivability. Going back to the axe is where he got the majority of his damage last time and really caught Sandstorm off guard. It's interesting. Finn's gravity cancel down sig on axe is almost identical to the properties of the greatsword gravity cancel downlight finisher. And I saw Blaizzy use it to great effect after getting hit by Sandstorms and getting that knockout with the edge guard right afterwards. Another gravity cancel downlight sider. He keeps catching Sandstorm off of that dash jump gravity cancel downlight, and Blaizzy gets it again!
Oh,
the gravity cancel down
I love it.
And you get the edge guard. No, he goes for a falling sider. The nair hits Sandstorm low on jumps, but he can make it back to the stage. Blaizzy goes for the gravity cancel downlight again. Doesn't get the pivot, and Sandstorm fighting back unarmed. A D-Light recovery will surely finish the stock, but can Sandstorm narrow the gap? In the meantime, let's find out. Blazy's looking for that recovery.
Oh, gets over the pocket sand.
The neutral light hits. There it is.
Man, Blaizzy is so good with those gravity cancel downlights. He has hit them so much. I mean, just about every stock he's taken, you can attribute to those.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and I love the adaptation to it because it began for me being like, well, how are you going to hit a D-Light recovery on somebody who is controlling the ground so well? Blazey's like, I'm going to hit 100% of them in the air. Sandstorm, however, hits back real hard with that finisher, sends Blazey out the right side of the stage, and he's not nearly as damaged he was on the last stock lead that Blazey had, so now the game is looking a lot closer. If Sandstorm wins this, Blazey has an early trip to the lower side of this top 32 bracket.
Yeah, that's the thing. These sets are best 3 out of 5. Win 3 games, you move on. If you lose in that set, you go down to the lower bracket where you have a last chance at the tournament. But, you know, Blazey, he's poised to take this game to put himself on the board.
Down air hits. Blazey goes in for the side air and gets kicked away. Sandstorm is slowly closing the lead, but he gets the down light recovery. He gets it. Blazey gets it. Blazey takes game number 3 in what is a complete surprise to me. And you know what's amazing about all of these games, DBK, is that he is adapting so well to Sandstorm's playstyle game after game after game. And now we're going to a game number 4 with the top seed going against the lowest seed, the champion of the last chance qualifier.
I mean, hey, if you've got to break it down like that, all we got to say is Blazey won the most recent tournament. It may have been
correct.
One that Sandstorm wasn't allowed to play in because he was already qualified for this event. But man, that's one on the board for Blazey.
Ooh, we're going to Crystal Temple here, and I cannot stress enough how great Jaehyun's neutral sig on Greatsword is for covering these platforms, but at the same time, Finn has a very good neutral sig on the axe as well, which we haven't seen him use too much. It's been the majority of the time gravity cancels down sigs and downlights, which have been working out very well. Let's see what he's able to do here as he gets a nice anti-air on the Sandstorm and keeps him off the weapon that Sandstorm was looking for the most. That Greatsword denies once again Blazey with a nice start, but damage isn't too much in his favor. All this weapon starving is great. It's stalling, but you have to start getting those neutral wins, and that down air missing was what Blazey was looking for.
Ooh, Blazey, you know, being able to land up on these platforms, I know Jaehyun can cover with that neutral signature, so that way it's not that safe of a spot to land, but it's certainly, pocket sand, Blazey in danger.
And that weapon throw does it, and he knows it, so he just tries to get off the stage as fast as possible, doesn't even try recovering, so that he can get to a weapon as soon as possible. Yeah, the pocket sand from center stage, that was nice. It reduced the overall knockback, but the weapon throw didn't dodge through it. Sandstorm gets the first stock.
So now Blazey, you know, kind of hanging out. Gravity cancel down signature, has Sandstorm off on the side, goes for the ground pound. Sandstorm sneaking around.
Oh, man, Blazey is phenomenal at gravity cancel downlight. He goes all the way around, and Sandstorm didn't even have the jumps to make it back, and he evens up the stocks without even taking any damage.
Yeah, that was big. He forced out the dodge a little bit earlier than Sandstorm would have liked to, and the Greatsword recovery, it does have a lot of startup to it, so you're going to fall a pretty good distance if you're already falling before you get that upward lift.
And Blazey fighting neck to neck with Sandstorm here, getting the nair, taking a little bit of the lead in the damage. Let's see if he's able to find more conversions. Down air into recovery. That's solidly putting with the orange. Downlight down. Oh, he tried to get the reset of the platform. That would have been so sick, but he doesn't connect. But he doesn't get punished for the whiff either. And now Blazey's got Sandstorm almost into red. Neutral light misses, and that's what Sandstorm's looking for, but he can't get these dodge reads onto Blazey. Blazey's been getting out of every single opener on the Greatsword that Sandstorm's gone for, and that ground pound forces the dodge out early. No Greatsword for Sandstorm here as it's sword versus sword, but Blazey's looks a little bit better. Down stick misses, neutral light hits. Oh, and that weapon throw is just stopping Blazey from getting something here, but Blazey, he's looking for that gravity cancel downlight and recovery. He knows it's time. He wants to take Sandstorm off the top of the map. The neutral sig misses, and Sandstorm doesn't get the dodge punish. That time he does.
Yeah, Sandstorm, he saw that gravity cancel down light coming. He backstepped it. And then that means, hey, you gravity canceled, your dodge is on a forced 3-second cooldown. So I get to take you for a ride.
Oh, I feel like Blazey's starting to get a little predictable with the gravity cancel down 6, and Sandstorm is just demolishing him forward. He used on the ledge. He doesn't have the jumps to make it back. He gets hit by a sider to recovery the accent out of his hands, and it's just been utter domination. Sandstorm looking for the finishing blow as Blazey from the fresh stock is now more damage than Sandstorm is on the second one, and the recovery just launches him off the top. If there was any doubt, it has been erased now. Sandstorm takes down Blazey 3-1.
Man, crazy set. I think that definitely went a lot closer than most people would expect, you know, with how much Blazey was consistently making progress against Sandstorm up until taking that game. But, you know, it all comes down to those small interactions. You might be downloading your opponent, but they're downloading you at the same time. So Sandstorm, that final adjustment, I've got to give it really onto that last read on the gravity cancel down light. He actually just backstepped it. I'm definitely going to be watching that clip for quite a while to come, just because of how much it was the back and forth of learning.